open up welcome, or you want me to, I mean, not the
No,
official,
you.
but just.
I think you're good. You're so good at this introductions.
Well, this is not the official, but this is just, okay. Here we go. Where is the welcome all?
So if it's not the official, I'm going to stop the recording. And when it's official, I'm going to start recording then. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. So welcome everybody. I think most of you know me by this point, Heidi Russell, founder of International Women Artists Salon. And it's my pleasure to welcome you for our third talk, right? Third talk. Artist Talk for Spring Forward, a great exhibition for Women's Month that's brought together 50 international artists from around the world. And, oh, hi, Michelle.
Must be another one.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a hacker as well. We're having hacks.
What is going on here?
How do I get rid of it?
I don't know how to stop.
Stop.
Sorry, we have some hackers in the. We have some hackers in this meeting.
There we go. I just stopped it. Okay, I did a bad. Here we go.
Okay. Why is this back up again? Oh.
How do we stop that person? Where is that person?
Michelle?
Got him.
That Jay, you got him?
Got him.
For her?
How do you do it?
Michelle, are you there?
I
didn't do it.
We got the right Michelle. We thought it was you at first. Sorry.
Oh my God, that's a trick. So somebody's hacking our meeting then.
Yeah, it looks like it happened. They just choose like one, like a first name that I don't know. So Emma, Michelle. So I guess look for that when someone's in the waiting room. Maybe that's the best guess. But
Can I set up a waiting room? I mean, I admit it all. Maybe let's see here.
No, there is a waiting room. Yeah.
Allow participants, mute participants, play.
I really wish that whoever's doing this
I don't want to lock meeting.
Is recording everything, and then we're gonna see an art piece in some show of like all those Zoom meetings that person hacked, because I kind of think it's brilliant, to be honest. It's annoying in a way, but in a way I think it's very brilliant what that person is doing. So.
Right.
Well, this is a new one because, right? Are they different ones? Like the one sitting on the toilet is one, and then the one with the soccer game, that's a different one, maybe, right?
Did we actually see a toilet? I missed that.
You didn't see the toilet one.
And then the guy was sitting on the toilet with his hands like this.
And he was so skinny. He really did need to eat food. Very skinny.
Okay.
It's so funny what your mind thinks when you're seeing that. At first I was like, is it somebody's kid? Maybe somebody's taking... I teach children in the spectrum, and they tend to do really weird stuff. So in a way I was like, maybe someone has a child in the spectrum and they didn't notice that.
That guy was somebody's kid for sure.
I mean, that's for sure, right?
He could be in the spectrum too.
Yeah, on the skinny spectrum.
It's crazy how your mind just flies to different. Yeah, let's start the talk. Heidi, this was your fault, so we're like having this conversation.
So we're welcome again to the wild west here of Zoom. But it's been a great pleasure to have this amazing exhibition with so many talented and great souls of women artists from around the world. And without further ado, I could go on and on and on, but I want Aranza, my fabulous co-curator, to take it away to introduce the topic tonight and our artists and get us rolling. And look forward to the structure is each artist presenting, there's 6 of us, has 10 minutes, and then there'll be 5 minutes where you can ask questions for that particular artist. We'll do some timeouts. We'll say 1 minute out or whatnot. And then if you haven't been able to ask your question, put it in the chat or write it down. And then at the end, we'll hopefully have some extra time where you can ask. So mute yourself now if you could. And then during the question time of 5 minutes, each question time, you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. So also the other items, don't forget, exits over here to the right, stage left over here behind you. So anyways, welcome and enjoy. Aranza.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Heidi. Thank you for the invitation to co-curate this show. It's been a wonderful journey. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So without further ado, because we got a little bit lost behind with what we had, with what happened just a second ago. If you see me laughing, I'm just laughing because I'm remembering what just happened, and I thought it was crazy. So yeah, welcome everybody. We're gonna have our first speaker today, Latonia Allen. I had the pleasure and honor to study with Latonia at SVA. She had a baby a year ago, and she's been an incredible woman, artist, mother, and has not stopped painting since she gave birth. So that's pretty awesome. So go for it, dear.
Thank you, Aranza and Heidi. It's a pleasure to be a part of this. And hello, everyone. I did have a baby, and that'll come into play in my my presentation. And I'm happy that Myra, you guys were talking earlier about taking up space in New York City, and I have a presentation, or I have a performance that actually touches like exactly on that. So I'm excited to get into that conversation. Let me share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. Can everybody see? Looks like a yes. I see nods. Okay, great. So, yes, my name is Latonia Allen. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, working and living out of the Bronx, but right now I'm spending some time with family in Arizona in the good weather. So I'm out here for a few months and continuing painting, but on a smaller scale. But yes, I'm originally from here. I went to school in Houston, Texas, and then I did my master's at School of Visual Arts, graduating last year. There we go. Can everybody see the whole screen, or is anything blocking?
Yep. We can see it.
Okay, sorry, this my screen is blocking. All right, so I wanted to start with this. This is a close-up of one of my paintings from my thesis exhibition, If Liberation is Our Magic. It's an interpretation from the quote, if our magic is our liberation, then our liberation is our narrative, by a writer named Lucretia Robinson. It's something that really resonated with me, and I center a lot of my work around liberation and exploring what that means, what that looks like, exploring the concept of agency, the body, the woman body, the Black woman body, focusing on portraiture and figuration is a big thing of mine, and it really interests me. So I use a lot of times myself as a reference, because I am in a lot of ways trying to recontextualize my body and recontextualize my movements and what it means to be a woman, what it means to be, you know, a Black woman moving in this space from my personal experiences. And you'll see a lot of these references in my work. On the far right, I know I'm a little pregnant here, so I didn't add that in the work, but I thought that was a really good time in my journey. I took this photo, and it ended up being in my work. It's a position I was sitting in a lot. This is how I started talking about it. This is what I was referencing with taking up space in New York City. This is a performance I did called Holding Space in 2019. It was very important for me to think about the conversations that we have on the sidewalk and how we negotiate space and who moves for who and why. I found it very interesting that I often was always moving out of the way for people, and apologizing if someone bumped into me. And I really wanted to study that and ask myself a lot of questions around it. These are segments of a performance where I'm walking down. I have this long braid that I was using to track and trail my journey and gather pieces from the walk and just kind of take a breath, as you see, take space and really think more on not negotiating and lessening myself for others as a Black woman moving in society. I also did a performance titled Mama Always Said It'll Be All Right. Sorry, I didn't want it to have sound. Okay.
We can hear it.
Okay. Well, I didn't want it to have sound. I wanted to talk over it, but I'll play a little snippet and then I'll talk. Okay. So yeah, this piece was about another way I found liberation, which was actually taking time of self-care and doing rituals, acts, or just moments that I do every day, which is moisturizing my skin, braiding my hair, moisturizing my hair. It was something that I felt was important to show, just an act of, a woman, a Black woman, again, to be more specific, spending time to breathe and have moments of care for themselves, and not always thinking about having to be strong and do so much work every day. This is, again, it's called Mama Always Told Me It Would Be All Right. It's referencing a song by Lizzo, actually, that also resonated with me, where she talks about all these feelings of insecurity and stress, and then remembering that Mama always told me it'll be all right. And I'm humming because my mom, it reminds me of my mother. My mom is a preacher. She also sings and she hums all the time. And it just brought me back to myself, brought me back home and calmed me down. So it was, so I did it together in this piece, really focusing on just loving myself for that short moment. And thinking more about the hair and the braid, I really wanted to continue it on in a lot of my work. Here's another piece from my thesis last year, adorning the braid and having this position and just centering the body, a Black body, just showing strength and thinking about liberating from thoughts and feelings of not feeling like I belong or need. And I really wanted to put my body up front. And as you see, this is a close up on the left, and on the right is a very large painting that held in place on the wall that takes up space and is meant to confront you and kind of make the viewer ask themselves questions on their comfort level of seeing a Black body in that position. And some more work where I continue the braid. Everything is political when you're Black is a play on a feminist quote from, I want to say, the 60s or 70s. And it was very important to me to bring that into conversation of from our skin to our hair to how we talk to how we walk to what we're wearing that day. It's often a political conversation in certain situations and rooms, and it's used either against us mostly, or taken as pop culture and taken as an image of beauty on someone else. So I want to talk about that, and just again thinking about moments of home and the braid and how that lives in spaces. And so my work kind of went through a journey of utilizing compositional spaces with color and redaction and washes, and it just kept continuing the positions, that I naturally would sit in and evoke and what that meant.
2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. See, and then I had a baby, and there she is. And so here I am in my studio in the Bronx. And she was often my studio buddy, and then having my life change so much with having this child on my hip and on my breast every 2-3 hours definitely had me recontextualize a lot of work. And I couldn't get away from this painting by Lucille Del Albuquerque, and the history of wet nurses. And I thought a lot about recontextualizing that and kind of thinking about that history and how I would change it or speak to changing it or wanting to almost be a representation of a Black woman in nursing a Black child. And so I have these works in progress, which I'm gonna breeze by. So yeah, this is another image of that. And this is the one that's in the show, if you've seen it in person, with the braid, once again, bringing it to our times of today, putting it in the mask. And I have always leaking breasts of milk to supply. And just more really stern, strong poses of Black women, and ending with just another really modern, beautiful pose of strength, bringing the braid, and just what things that we do every time, just trying to position my body and Black bodies in these postures and environments of beauty and strength. And I also wanted to add this because I saw that this is happening this year. So April 11th to 17th is Black Maternal Health Week. And that's talking about the maternity morbidity and mortality rates are much higher, 160% higher for Black women than white women from 2012, 2015. And so I wanted to kind of put that on everyone's radar. I'm sure a lot of us, I would hope a lot of us know of some of these statistics and some of the disparities in healthcare and treatment and our experiences in the hospital, especially giving birth and after, are different and they vary in a lot of ways depending on different circumstances, but a lot of it has to do with race and the systemic education with that. So I wanted to highlight that this year. I'm not sure how long it's been going on, but this is something that's coming up, and I thought it was relevant to my work, and I just wanted to put it out there. And thank you. That is it.
Thank you, Latonia. Right. Amazing.
I feel like I talk so fast.
No, it's great. So we're open for Q&A or comments, and feel free to ask Latonia.
How did people react to you on the street with the braid?
Oh, interesting. So I did that performance a few times. I will say the first few times, a lot of stares, a lot of people didn't move. And it was a really interesting experience to be bumping into so many people. And yeah, I learned a lot about myself that day. But when I did the performance, when I actually filmed it, a lot more people, of course, I would say from the cameras were a little more hesitant. And I think also because I was wearing bright yellow, I definitely stood out, which, is a learning lesson. It was maybe my third time doing a performance ever. So I really learned a lot from that. And also I'm 6 feet tall. So I already take up a lot of space, but definitely wearing the yellow that day, having the cameras, it was interesting. Some people ask me, hey, is it real? Is that braid real? And I'm just like, okay, New York. But yeah, it was interesting. I think the reactions I got were varied depending on when I did it and what I was wearing. So lesson learned.
I have a question. Yes. As you continued on with the project, did the braid get heavier?
It did. And it tugged a lot, of course, because it was catching on different parts of the street. And I kept it for a long time and I displayed it, and it gathered leaves and all kind of debris. And I thought that was just a very interesting experience in its own. And it accomplished what I hoped was just, tracking that journey and having that speak its own story at the end and live separately as its own piece,
I love it though. I love the braid. It was pretty cool. I didn't quite understand it in the beginning, but as you started to explain it, I was like, wow, this is really, really an interesting perspective on how to, take up space, or even how, never take up space, but like how to stand in your own space. So
yeah.
Really cool.
And I forgot to mention, it goes a little deeper for me. Weaved into the braid is articles of clothing from each of my family members. And I wanted that to be important from I was, I was practicing unlearning, right? I was practicing an unlearning of me moving out of the way all the time and being apologetic. So, I am thankful for how I was raised, to be very out of the way and thankful, which is like, it's really great. But at a certain point in life, you kind of have to stand your own ground and know that that's okay. So I wanted to bring my family and all the teachings I've learned with me, and I weaved it in. But I also felt it symbolic to have it behind me and kind of dragging, as in I'm taking this on with me, but I'm also letting it kind of go through its own, and as I'm changing in the forefront. So, thank you.
How does the braid live in your life now?
Now I just continue its life in my paintings. So that's why I'm in the newer works that I'm working on, I try to incorporate it somehow in each piece to kind of keep that story alive and keep the essence of me learning and growing as an artist and as a woman with that history on me throughout. So now it just lives 2D on a painting until further. We'll see how it continues. We'll see if I bring it back or if I, go do a sculpture. I'm thinking about that as well. So yeah, we'll see. Elena?
Thank you. So the use of video is really recording this piece is really powerful because in the opening frames, as the camera presents your braid, there are just so many associations that I was feeling as the viewer. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about, I guess as a viewer, I was reminded of, I wondered if this was like a chain that was attached to something that was holding you back, but then I was surprised to see that it was free. And then for me, it became like this living vine. And I thought it was just so interesting that there are so many layers of like empowerment and also kind of breaking free of this chain. Like I had this very, like very vivid image of you like walking away from like being tethered. So I just wondered, if you could talk about some of the other associations that this braid has for you in your work, and if it's kind of like if the meanings kind of the layers keep kind of adding together.
Well, I do think about it. I think about how hair, again, is a common topic of conversation in art. I've seen it many times in Black art as well. So I try to be aware and be knowledgeable of what other conversations are happening around hair, and know that, again, it's its own political world. And so like thinking forward, and if it changes, I just try to like I don't necessarily want it to be something that I'm chained to or tethered to, but I do, I mean, because it's still an image of beauty. It's still a memory, of good moments from childhood, my mother braiding my hair. It feels good. I still, so it means like a lot. So it's not necessarily all negative or something that I'm trying to leave. I think that's probably why I still have it attached to me and I wear it often. And I still continue in my work because it brings a good feeling and a good conversation, but it also, have those other symbols. So I'm not sure how it will continue to change and how I'll continue to recontextualize it, but definitely just trying to be cognizant of what it means in the other realms of the art world, and trying to make sure that I keep writing my own with it.
Thank you, Latonia. We have to keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, we have time, we can circle back to certain conversations that definitely sound super interesting. But we have to present our next guest, Divine Williams.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
I had to turn it off.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna.
Thank you, Latonia.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you for your work. It was pretty amazing.
Thank you.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Oh. Hi.
Oh wait, I'm gonna share your presentation. That's right. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, the website. Yeah, indeed.
Heidi, can you take the time, please, so I can share Divine's? Awesome.
You could start your introduction though, Divine.
Okay, cool. So hey guys, hi everyone. Good to see everyone in good health. My name is Divine Williams, and I am a social documentary photographer from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm currently residing in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Not sure if a lot of you know exactly what my work is rooted in. It's rooted in social documentary photography and photojournalism. I'm not sure if a lot of you know, but I've been documenting the Black Lives Matter movement before it became the Black Lives Matter movement in 2014. I actually started in 2013 with the protest for Trayvon Martin here in Union Square. So for the last 7 years, I've been documenting the movement from the beginning and the gradual rise and the changes that has been made within the movement. As we all know, George Floyd was killed last year in May of 2020. I flew out there literally 4 days later, and I just tried to capture pretty much the feelings of the people that are out there. I wasn't there, to document all the violence and to document people just going crazy. I just wanted to see a different side of how people were reacting to what happened in their city. So as you can see now with my screen, these are some of the images that were there. I mean, some of the images that I shot while I was there. So you can go next. This is one of the first ones. So most of them was shot within like the 4 days I was there. This one is called, as you can see, Buck 12. Pretty much it's a saying, I'd rather be judged by 6 than carried by 12. Is a very much saying that's going on in Minneapolis that kind of translated throughout last year. As you can see from Brooklyn, all over California, New York, Florida, everyone came with the same terminology. Next slide. This one was actually shot. This young boy actually caught me looking at him as I shot. I was really trying to get the writing on the wall. Every single cop is guilty in the system. I thought this was a very powerful shot because he was really in his own world, and it happened to catch him while he was looking at me while I was trying to catch the shot. Next one. This is a pretty interesting one. So this is, oh guys, it's kind of hard one. So in the area where there was a lot of rioting, a lot of burning of the buildings, when the military came in that Friday, they shut down the entire area where the Cub Mall was at. I'm sorry, I can't really talk right now. This particular image was shot by one of the burned down buildings that was there. The woman who was actually in the photo, I was a little afraid for her because you can't see it now, but above there's a lot of debris that actually could fall on top of her. So she was only there for like 2 seconds, but we were really trying to get her out of the way because it was really dangerous to be anywhere near that area because the military was there, 1, and 2, there was a lot of debris and like burned down buildings and spewing of water everywhere. Next slide. As you can see, this is across the street from where the lady was actually standing from. Somebody else is walking there. Next slide. Once again, this is the front of the Cub Mall. As you can see, the target over there. What you don't see is when you go around that corner, there's a slew of military men standing there with weapons. That's what you don't see, which is why the guy is looking on the other side. Next slide. The Club 12 Mall was at East 28th Street. So what's interesting about what happened in Minneapolis is that, and I try to explain to a lot of people that all of this was happening before the trial started. So when I got there, I was overwhelmed and blown away by the amount of smoke and burn down buildings. So this is one here, across the street is another one, down the block is another one. So it's just like one burning building after the other. Next. This lady right here, she was pretty bold. She was yelling at the military men the entire time I was there. And I was actually a little afraid of her because she was ready to throw hands, or like she was ready to fight the military guys, but she was very powerful in her voice and she stood her ground. And luckily, like nothing happened that particular day. Next slide. This is the military, well, partial of them that were standing next to the woman with in the abandoned building who was taking a picture. I have to say they were very calm. They weren't there to make any kind of noise. They weren't there to disrupt anything. They was pretty much there just to make sure nothing else got burned down and nothing else got targeted. Next slide. Like I said, if you continue walking the area, there are plenty of boarded up buildings, excuse me, and there's plenty of people walking around feeling some kind of way of the situation. Next slide. All right, so this is the one that's actually shown. I do have it. So this is the one that's actually shown in the show. So this is a very powerful picture for me on many levels. First, as you can see, there are people coming down East 38th Street. On the corner is actually where George Floyd died, and around the corner is where his memorial is. So upon entering the memorial, there is a slew of cars that just keep coming and coming and coming. This strong woman right here did not move. She did not say a word. Is when you got up to her, you literally had to make that left. She wasn't directing traffic by saying anything else but moving to the left. I had 60 seconds to take this photo because I was literally hanging out of a car trying to catch her, because I know if I didn't catch this picture, I wouldn't see her again. And luckily, literally after we went around, she was gone. So I was not able to catch her name, but this picture is extremely powerful. And it also shows that she's the gatekeeper of the memorial. Like, I feel as though that Black women are very strong and Black women are have a strong stance. So it's like, to see her being a protector of her brother was actually a great thing. Next slide. As I said, so this is on the other side of East 38th Street. So people were gathering. There was a lot of fraternities, a lot of sororities out there. There was no violence at this particular gathering. Everyone was there to show support and show respect. Next slide. All right, so there was this, I guess this pattern that I noticed, that if you put up that if you're a person of color or a trans person, that if you make it known on your residency or your business, it would not be burned down by rioters or burned down or destroyed by the cops. So you will see a lot of this in Minneapolis. People of color live here, Black owned, Black trans people live here. You see a lot of that in Minneapolis. Next, thank you. This is his memorial around the corner, as you can see. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Next slide. This is one here as well. I thought this was a really powerful statement, because people don't see the other side of what happens when your city gets erupted over a killing of an unarmed man. It's a lot that the city goes through, because now that all the eyes are on this one particular city, and whatever skeletons you may have had before, whatever was going on, like everything gets exposed. So it's I'm not saying it's good to see, but it's a different narrative to see people to state that, we're hurting, we're struggling. Like, this is not just something that we wanted to happen in our city. Not everybody feels this way. So I thought this was a really great shot to take. Next slide. All right, so this was actually taken on the north side of Minneapolis. Like I said, if you're, and I hate to say it, like if you're not a Black-owned business at the time during this uprising, a lot of businesses did get burned heavily. This is one of them. It was called Olympic Cafe, and when I passed by there were a bunch of people helping out. I try to help some of them, but I guess because of the social distancing, they didn't want too many people around. But it was a sad sight to see, because it wasn't just happening in one part of Minneapolis, it was literally happening in different parts of Minneapolis. So it wasn't just they're burning downtown. No, they were burning all over.
2 minutes.
Slide. Oh, sure, no problem. Next slide. and this will be the last one. So this is one of my connects, one of my sources that was actually there to help me out when I was in Minneapolis. His name is Isaiah. He actually helped put a food drive together to help the people of the neighborhood who were suffering during this uprising, as well as he didn't have any food. So he was a really good host. So you don't have to go to the next slide because it's a lot. It's like 30 pictures in there, but you get an idea of my experience while I was there. You get an idea of the people, you get an idea of the struggle, you get an idea of the fight. So it's a lot that's going on in Minneapolis at the time. There's a lot more going on since the trial starts on Monday. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Divine. Wow, what a powerful presentation.
Yeah, it's a lot of photos.
No, great. So please share your website again in the chat so we can go and check out your pictures with more time, because wow, those are powerful. And you flying over there to document that and document history, that's great.
Thank you.
Questions, comments, everyone?
I really appreciated the shots that you took, because you gave us something that I didn't see. And I was really watching a lot at the time, and you really kind of gave us through the signs that you chose to use, and the images of the people in your story. It just really makes the whole experience, the place become real. Yeah.
Thank you. That was the point. And like I wanted to show it in a different light. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement, has been, mixed reviews. Some people are for it, some people are against it, some people is negative. But I wanted to show the human side of it. Just people coming together to mourn the loss of someone who didn't have to die. So that's, yeah.
I saw a lot of things, a lot of details in your photos that surprised me a lot. One of them was the picture that you have of the policeman with the military. Those two people from the military are kids. You can clearly see that they're not older than, I don't know, that's 17 or 18 years old. Like, they look literally like kids. Like, I was looking at the pictures and I was completely blown away, right? How in the United States you can't drink until you're 21, but you can go to the military and vote when you're like 18. There's so many contradictions in this country, I mean, in all the world in general. But yeah, that really surprised me. And also the same way that you mentioned how the kid was looking right at your camera when you snapped that photo. The same when that guy was passing through the sign that said "fuck" right in the U. He was there in the middle, So yeah, those kind of details, I don't know, I really enjoy them.
And thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys actually taking the time to look at it.
Yeah, I just also wanted to add that your perspective is so intimate. So each photo has its own universe of meaning, which is so different from, what we've seen on television and in the press. It just really, it just offers a sense of devastation, which I think is so important because of these acts of devastation. And so I just really appreciate that this devastation does come across in your documentation.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So we have another minute and a half for another question or comment.
You guys are amazing.
Are you continuing this work, Divine, in terms of the movement and the dialogues that are going on?
Yes, I actually want to go more into the Black women who have been murdered by the police, and I feel as though we don't have that platform. I mean, even with my work that I have now, it's all about the Black men who have been killed by the police, and I feel as though there are a number of Black women who have been killed by the police that we don't know about, like, Natasha McKenna and Pamela, what's her name? Pamela Turner and Tina Jefferson. There's a lot more.
Breonna Taylor.
Huh?
Breonna Taylor.
Yes, and Breonna Taylor as well. So it's just like, being an artist now, I think being a Black artist now, I think it's a great thing because we're getting our stories out there. You understand? Like, people becoming more aware, not just Black people, but white, Asians, everyone becoming more aware of what's going on. And I think that's a great thing. And I think we should definitely push for more Black women lives and Black trans lives. I think we should definitely push for all of it, because we're all in this together. We're all in this together.
Fantastic. Well, that's just right down to our 5 minutes.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. So it's your turn, Myra. Yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Divine. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All yours.
Okay. Hi, I'm Myra Kooy, and let me just share my screen real quick here. All right. Let's move this. Okay, so this may not do, I think it might work. It was working before, there we go. I'm a mixed media artist. I've been doing art for a good 40 years, but in different kinds of ways. I just think of lifestyle as being the art. I'm moved mostly by experiences and materials. And this winter, I've never done a flag before in my life. I never really thought to do a flag. And all of a sudden I found myself doing this flag after the death of George Floyd. And but what I do regularly is paint on doors. And I use doors mostly because they have history and they've been used by other people. And so I kind of swap juices with the energy that they have and their meaning. And I feel like their meaning is something that's really, really important. And so this winter after George Floyd's death and the outpouring of energy that went into the Black Lives Movement, I was so overwhelmed, but yet grateful. And so this was me. This is like a semi-self-portrait, but it's also me kind of grappling with my own, denial of my own Black skin in many ways, or not. And there's some things that I had to grapple with as being a Black woman or a Black person. In every way. So I was trying to find my way, and here this is one of those images that I did, and there's like the energy is coming from the sky and from the earth, and that's why there's copper wire. It travels down my arm. There's a key to hope, and these are resin pieces that I've created so that, as it travels through me, I find some kind of light and some kind of color to offer. Most of my images of persons, they start out as like, this was my influence of this was George Floyd, but what I end up doing is looking at the image for a while, putting it aside, and then going into the work. And here it was just my love of, for the Black man, and giving them a crown of color, leaves, which could be also mistaken as other things around the head, but reaching out my hand to touch their face, and it's done on a door, and then as Breonna passed over. It's almost like I'm getting in tears just sharing about these people. And again, a crown of color for her. And this is the symbol of health, as well as me adding copper. Copper is an ongoing theme, but these are copper rivets in seed pods. So it's kind of the seed for something new to grow. The copper is, again, sending energy. There's this is, just begging for energy to be shared from, from the universe at large. I usually look to nature for that energy to come to me. And so I painted this swirling light of a response to this request, and so there is a response of yes, there is hope, and there's a crown of light and color right around the face, which is really just nice in order to acknowledge, and I needed to give myself a little reprieve after all of that. So I moved into a family reunion, and kind of remembering when at one point I did go to a family reunion of my biological family, and the joy that everybody had in seeing each other and coming together and waving. So this is the weaving of the meetings, right? Of the family, of when you kind of, the DNA, the everything, right? And then again, there's a nice crown of color right around the face that, honoring us as people, and the color of joy. Moving on. Another somewhat of a self-portrait, trying to find ways to find the hope in what's going on. So cyanotype paper I made. And then this is my great grandmother, who I have in a frame that looks like this on my desk. This is like that medicine the X-Lax. It could be wine, grain, alcohol. It could be, just that magical drop that you get, along with, looking for hope. This was inspired from Maya Angelou, a picture that I had. Again, I grab the essence of the person, and then I create the imagery and the work from their essence. And she means a lot to me. Her poems have always meant a lot to me. Her very first book means a lot to me, right along with the additional over 10 that I had read of hers. I think that she meant a lot, and left a lot for us to be able to grow from. And I'm grateful to her. So this is a piece done really, an Audre Lorde piece. So this is you can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. Understanding those tools is one thing. So having the knowledge of what goes on in the White House, in the big house, but knowing that that's not where it ends. And what I realize is that this is kind of what you would consider to be a nice etching, right? A kind of a wonderful little moment in a natural scene, but within the natural scene exists. See, I think that it's been hidden so long, up until most recently. All of what's happened happens in our world, right? The last administration really brought things out of the woodwork that were right visible and there at all times, but were hidden by the beauty of trees, and hidden by the beauty of us being able to live in denial, of which is kind of pretty impossible to do at this point.
2 minutes.
Okay, and then this piece here is a piece that's responding to this child is how we raise our children. We have to tell them other stories. We can't keep on telling them that they are superior, and so this child thinks of us as a toy, right? Instead of as a, you know, and just the anger that exists and begging for hope. The white glove test. And then remembering at my grandmother's funeral at 99 that there is song and there is other ways to go. And these are all kind of images that were visible at my grandmother's funeral. And in the song, we weren't mourning her, but we were reveling in the fact that she was a part of us.
Thank you. Wow, super powerful and beautiful work, Myra. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. When I saw that door, because I was the one that opened your work to hang in the gallery. So when I opened that door and saw it, I was like, wow, like because it was the last piece that came in as well, you know, because I know it was a little bit complicated to get it in. And when I saw it, I told Heidi, I'm so happy that we gave Myra just a little bit of time for her to get her piece in, because it's so beautiful. Yeah. And so
I
so
really
powerful.
appreciated that you did, and that you invited me in the first place. So you know, you just do the work and you don't know, but I really enjoyed being able to compile this for everybody.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any questions, comments?
I have to say, I'm in love with I guess it's the door series that you did. I think you putting the images on the door is brilliant. You know, it allows the viewer to actually, you know, not be confined to that rectangle space. You understand? Like you're bringing us in, especially the one with you, the very first one that you have with the torch and the what is it at the bottom, the jewels, the resin, what was it?
Right, it's colored resin. I put like all sorts of stuff in it. So yeah,
I was absolutely in love, and you kept going through more. I'm like, oh my God, I want to see like the whole series like up in the gallery somewhere. I think it's brilliant, and I love the way you executed it.
Thank you. I have a door series that I did also last semester. There's a video that I had a dancer, like I set them all up, and a dancer danced between them. So there's I didn't know like how to add that to
add it in. Oh, I would love to see that. I actually love it.
Yeah, I'll share it with you, Devon.
Please, please, please.
Yeah, because I definitely love what you're doing as well.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I have a question. You breezed by it, and I want to know. It was a term I wasn't familiar with. You said the white glove test or the white glove? I'm unfamiliar. Can you tell me what that is?
You know, when a cleaning person comes into the home, they do a white glove test. So they'll move a piece of furniture and run it across the baseboard behind the piece of furniture. And if their white glove has a little bit of dirt on it, the cleaner person might not get paid, or get paid half, or get scolded.
Right. So can you explain to me a little more of that piece then? It was an image you
right. So the image I printed, again, a lot of the pictures are not complete self-portraits, but it was a picture of hands, almost kind of like giving it, like, stop, this isn't it, right? And so, but it was on a glove, right? And it was laying on the top of, the pylons for ships, when ships come into the port, the big railroad tie, like poles that they put into the ground. Well,
Okay,
they put them into the ground and then they cut the tops off. So that's the top of one of those, the shipport pieces. And so I laid the glove over the top of the shipport piece.
Interesting.
Kind of almost as a mess, you know, it wasn't like we were asked to be here anyways.
Yeah.
And then you
Thank you.
give us the white glove test.
Okay. I get it. Thank you for explaining.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say, Myra, that I loved, really, really love your Breonna Taylor piece. And I feel like, because just, you know, and she's in the exhibit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, your piece really stood out in the exhibit because her face is so, it's just so powerful, and she just has this very direct presence. And I didn't know who she was, but now that you revealed her, it's just really amazing that she's part of the exhibit. So I just wanted to say that I love that she's present for this exhibit. So thank you.
Yes, I think she's become one of our legends. Yes, thank you. I agree.
we have 1 minute left for our last question for now. All right, well, we'll write down your questions for the end if you think of any more, but thank you, Myra. This beautiful work and amazing series.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, I'm enjoying this evening.
Thank you very much for staying and looking. I appreciate it.
So now we have Andrea Young. It's your turn. I'm very excited. Andrea sent us a beautiful email with a lot of explanation about her work that I'm super looking forward to see now.
Okay, so can you see my display here? Hello?
Yeah, we can. We can see it.
So
we can hear you.
So here's my name. My name's Andrea. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And it may seem an unusual handle for Instagram, but there's a reason for it. I am a mechanic sometimes, and I rode a BSA. So I was part of a women's motorcycle gang. And that was the name I used. I should change it at some point. Looking at this topic, I thought this is really about voice, which really needs as a basis a sense of identity. Who are we? How do we express ourselves? How do we become comfortable with being different? How do we become proud? How do we speak so that our voice is heard? So that's the kind of story I'm going to present here with pictures. Probably the pictures are going to mostly give evidence that I wasn't speaking with my voice, but the conflict I had being a trans person, my life would have been very much easier if I'd been born 40 years later, but I wasn't. And the idea of transitioning when I was in my teens or early 20s just seemed impossible. Would probably resulted in me being banished and living on the margins. And I'll show you some examples of people living like that in just a moment. So this question, what choices do we have? I mean, I thought I could choose to live as a man, and it just became increasingly difficult to do that. You know, when you're in a state of denial and a state of denying that you're denying, and then you're denying that you're denying that you're denying, it becomes this whole mountain of denial which you really can't maintain. And on top of that, my clock is running. You know, I've got this limited lifetime and I want to be able to live my life. So that's the dilemma I was having. So early on when I got my camera, I actually did aim the camera at me, believe it or not. That's someone who you might actually know. And I'm not quite sure what it tells you about me. Here's one of me being vulnerable, floating on a swimming pool, and kind of looking in or looking out. That was when I was about 20 or 21. So much of my work is about everyday things, the absolute banal, the mundane. This obviously is me riding on a bus in Canberra in Australia in about 1974. And what's remarkable about it? Well, at the time, absolutely nothing remarkable about it except just what one did. But the great thing about photography is that over time, the photographs may or may not suddenly become quite interesting. I mean, if you look here, people are actually looking up. They're looking out of the windows. They're reading newspapers. You go on the subway today and people are looking down at their phone and not communicating or, you know. So I was interested in just capturing the everyday, wondering, well, what is it about the everyday that's going to look somewhat extraordinary in later times? And while those later times have come, and I've decided it's time, well, I should dig this stuff out and see what magic has happened in the time. Then again, some of the things I did see, you don't see every day. And this was at a sideshow at an agricultural show in Australia. It was a big summer event, Sideshow Alley. And this was an all-male international review, a drag show. A couple of trans women in there, I should think. Essentially, it was a freak show in a sideshow on Sideshow Alley. And I was there with my wife. And if I hadn't had her with me, I probably wouldn't have stepped in because I was concerned, and it probably with good reason, that these women would be looking at people in the audience and saying, yes, you're attracted to me, or no, you would like to be like me. And as they would meet my gaze, as they would, because that's their job as entertainers, to engage you, I could feel them looking right into me. And but I came out of there feeling, my God, I mean, this is so, I don't know, disheartening to be parading yourself like that while men like this guy just kind of look at you and gape. I thought how degrading that is. And, you know, this is not what I wanted for myself. This part of the show, a young man was pulled out of the audience. She wrapped her boa around him and she stuck his head between her breasts and then kind of nuzzled him. And let's put it this way, he was somewhat visibly aroused by this experience. And the performer made sure that the rest of the audience noticed this. So he was somewhat humbled and humiliated. She was quite glib and the audience was laughing. It was kind of funny, but at the same time, that wasn't really what I aspired to for myself. And I really kind of left there thinking, my God, I can't transition. This can never be me. I have to just do what I can to just live as a man and just keep at it and I will be successful. Well, I stopped I stopped really putting myself in the photograph. I started looking at anything else, which I think really took the attention away from me. And what you'll see from these photographs is that it will show you where I'm at, but it won't tell you much about who I am, other than the fact that I took these photographs. Essentially, I was observing life. I think probably I was acting as a reporter. I think I probably need to be a poet. And let me explain this photograph here. These are people who I knew very well. And I like to be able to convey what it was like to be there, to be on the inside of things. And for this, I need confidence. And usually I was very, very lacking in confidence. I was a sham. Whatever you saw of me was pretend. I was pretending to be a man and I felt phony. And usually I would be very distant. Here, I was comfortable. These people knew me well. They were doing a rehearsal. I was there, but I was keeping out of the way, but sometimes sticking my camera right in the middle of things. So these are photos I feel very good about, but this is not something I could achieve very often because my shyness held me back. And my shyness was mostly built on my insecurity of my gender identity. So this was kind of a struggle that went on for quite a lot of my life. So let's go about photographing life around me. The mall, it was like the malls were the temples of the 1970s. It was the JCC, it was everything. It was, you know, it's where you went.
2 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to speed up. So I just have all of these photographs just documenting life in the mall, life in the office parties, people I worked with, people I worked with, people I worked with, behaviors which would get you sent for sensitivity training in later years. More of the office, my boss who didn't realize how pompous he was. And then scenes of the country, the Australian countryside. Looking at these, I was just so distant. I would love now to be able to go back and talk to these people and take portraits. And, you know, there's this distancing here. But we're going to get around to photos of me. We're just coming up. I'm going to speed up here. My brother leaving jail. He got married 2 weeks after leaving jail. His family came to visit. His mother-in-law was horrified, enraged, drunk. I love taking portraits. This is how I evolved the burlesque artist picture. And really, the thing, photos, I guess the burlesque artist is part of me in that because I wish I was as bold as that. This photograph, which is from about 1976, I think this umbrella represents me. I took a lot of photos trying to get this, make something of these shapes and shadows. But this umbrella, this irregular shape in an environment that was mostly straight lines or round things, and I was neither. That seemed to be me, stuck precariously on this step. You know. This was a series I called Cancer. I was essentially just playing with vegetables, playing with my food. And essentially this to me, this is the pepper me on the left. This is my wife and the tomato with the growth. You know, she had cancer at that point. Was coming to terms with the fact that she was metastatic. And this was last year. Able to sleep. I was on Ambien. I was kind of sleepwalking and again, playing with food. And this is what I came up with. This is a photo that I was thinking of putting in the show. I put in the burlesque artist, but this one is probably the one I should have done. But it's me at my most vulnerable. This is me. And to top it off, I had surgery at the end of the year. It took a while to recover. But still I rise, you know? That's me. That's it. Okay.
Andrea, thank you so much for this wonderful, vulnerable, deep, and inspiring presentation. It really blew, I bet that it blew all of us away. It blew me away for sure. You just gave me a huge lesson. As an artist, the way to talk about our work, when we make it personal and vulnerable, we connect with the people in a very deep way. I felt connected with your work and your story.
It would make no sense not to do that. I mean, ultimately, you know, we have to be connected with ourselves And that is what we need to be able to convey to other people, because otherwise it's superficial. It really has no meaning.
That's for sure. But I feel that also society sometimes tells us, like, don't think that much about yourself. Don't talk that much about yourself. Don't point your finger at yourself. Look at others. And I think that there's people that have to practice that a little bit more, you know, thinking about others. But in general, everything is, don't make it about yourself. When I think that when you make it about yourself, but in a vulnerable way, touching the fibers and the truth inside of yourself, that's when you really connect. I was looking at your whole presentation, seeing how you were telling us all your story, and every picture was like, I felt this and this is what happened. Like I was really lost and completely immersed in everything that you were saying. And you said that you wish you could be more vulnerable and bold and brave. And I think that you are very bold and brave. When I saw your picture coming in the gallery, and I had the lovely pleasure of spending 2 days with you when we were putting up the show, even if I was a little bit stressed and didn't have that much time to like pause and have like a proper conversation with you, I was all the time admiring your energy and your personality and the way that I'm very like that. I read energy a lot, and I'm really fascinated by your whole being. And I had no idea you used to be a man until your presentation. I had no idea at all, no clue. I found out.
I tried very hard to be one. I wasn't very successful at it.
No, sorry, it's not like I totally have seen you as a woman all the time. This for me was super new. So your presentation was revealing in many senses. And sorry, I'm taking time of your 5 minutes. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm gonna shut up and let everyone speak. But I had to say this. I was deeply blown away. Wow.
Yeah, I have to say I love the grittiness of your photos, especially of the one of the men in drag. I love those. Those were absolutely amazing. I feel as though you caught a moment in time that a lot of people don't know about, or a lot of people have never witnessed. I've never been to I've been to a drag show recently, but back then I can only imagine, like, you know, the secrecy, or, you know, the hiding, or like, you know, like you said, you know, it was a freak show, but it's not a freak show. You understand? So I love the fact you were able to capture that. And I love the grittiness of the photos, especially the street photography in the mall, in the office. Like, you have a certain way of capturing these moments that are just like every day, is everyday daily life moments. And I think you did an amazing job. Really do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I tried very hard to do the mundane. I would not recommend this as a means of becoming famous or rich, because you can end up 40 years later with still a lot of mundane photographs, but some of them will be special. Any questions?
We can.
Yeah.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Yeah, hi Andrea. We talked a little bit at the opening, and no, this is really great to now, you know, see more of your work and more of you. Why, when you saw the show back then, the drag show or the whatever it was, why did you think that is not for you at that time when you pointed that out?
Because I probably had dreams of being a professor, of being an academic, a scientist, not to be a performer in a sideshow tent, in a freak show.
Oh, so you meant like transitioning and then ending up in a freak show, because that was sort of
about the only place. I mean, you had a couple of choices. You could be a sex worker, you could be maybe a beautician, or you could be an entertainer. If you were lucky, you'd get to play in a club in some red light district in Sydney. But
right,
you know, it was, you know, you were living on the margins. And
I see.
A lot of those women died of AIDS, so they're very, very vulnerable. And you know, if I'd been born 40 years later, things would have been much easier for me. But I mean, it's really stuck. I mean,
So you were doing man drag for a few more years.
What was that?
So you were doing man drag for a few
yeah,
more
yes,
years.
yes. I mean, I did it quite successfully. I wore suits, so I was an executive, person on Wall Street. I did okay for a while, but it was just become harder and harder to keep up that pretense. Living a life. I mean, I have kids and I love my children, and I'm so glad I had that. But much of my life really didn't have meaning other than that. And
so are you like are you on good terms? Like, yeah, it sounds like with your children you are, but like with the mother of the children, did that transition also well-ish?
It's complicated. I don't want to go into that in this public forum.
No,
but yes, we were on first name terms, and we can pick up the phone and talk to each other if we need to. But
yeah, it is difficult. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
I found it, well, first of all, love your work. That was very, very intriguing, very intense, but in a good way. So I was listening, and you said when you were taking photos of people and living in the countryside, right? And you had made a comment that you wish that you had, I guess you could say, more confidence to go and talk to them or take like portraits. Did I hear that correctly? I think that's what you said.
Yes. I think it's much easier as a woman, and it's also much easier as you're older because people are less scared of you.
Right. So,
and also, as I get older, I'm less scared. I mean, I'm very careful about how I treat other people, but I care a lot less about how other people feel about me.
Right.
That's one of the things about getting older.
That was my question. I was like, would now, if you were to take photos of people and you thought of the opportunity to go maybe talk to them and get a closer portrait headshot, would you? Is that a part of your practice that you're thinking about, or was it just...
Yes and no. I mean, I think I'd still find it hard to go up to complete strangers in the street and say, hey, I mean, like, you look interesting. I'd like to take photos of you. I mean, I could do it a bit, but I know people do that very well.
Yeah.
I would much prefer, I think, to get someone in the studio and take my time doing portraits, getting to know them and making a connection. And,
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Excellent. That's our 5 minutes. So
I just wanted to thank you before. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'll reach out back to you because you're down the street from me.
Yes, please do. I would like that very much. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Andrea.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. Really, I was super blown away. Yeah, wow. Thank you, everybody, again. And now we have Elena Valdes. She's one of my best friends. I love her work, and yeah, go for it.
Hi, everyone. Let me share the screen. This is actually a good transition from the photos we just saw, because it's like the other side of the story. I'm from Mexico, and I've been in New York for like 7 years now, but I do a lot of documentary work in Mexico. And basically, I just like to get portraits, talk to people, and listen to stories to gain new perspectives. And I was having dinner one time, and I met this friend who knew the Mushes, like he's from that town in Mexico that's named Juchitán. And talking to him, he told me I could come visit. I've heard about these people. It's a community in Oaxaca, Mexico, that is, they're transgender men who dress as Zapotec women. So they wear like the braids, like this kind of braids, the skirts. So it's a big movement that they've been around for like 70 years, and they've been fighting for rights. But it was very interesting to see it in such a small community compared to a big city where this is kind of still frowned upon in a country like Mexico. So I work along with a girl who's a journalist, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in coming and talking to these people and see if we can come up with an idea to present it somehow in a creative way? And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're telling me this. I've been researching the subject because she has a kid who's 12. His name is Lorenzo, but he's been dealing with his gender identity since he's 3, because he loves unicorns. He loves wearing wigs. And Renata was since the moment she saw these traits, she was like, oh my God, okay, how am I gonna explain gender to him to see how he can develop into being, like, explaining to him that values are not related to your gender identity, the ways you can express about yourself or identify with are fluid. You don't have to pick one or the other. So it's this is our field research with the mushes, and I photographed them and then created a series of portraits that has some styling from a friend. So it's like how everything looked very surreal to us, the amount of freedom we would see. So we named the project Mushelandias, that this comes from Mushe Landia. It's like kind of like a Disneyland, because we couldn't believe what our eyes were seeing. So we were like, how are we going to explain this? And it became an essay that it's about non-binary living, and just like about learning how to name things in order to be able to explain them to someone who's a kid, for example. And well, these are some of the photos of the project that I will show you. There is a party that happens every year that it's kind of a pride party. And there is a queen every year. So the queen is kind of like the host of the party. So this is the first time we went to Juchitán. We went to this party and met everyone socially, and that's how we kind of like met our characters, and then we were able to create the story. This is one of the portraits. She's the queen of the party. And well, this is a town. This is a party. And this is part of a, like, I made a book that I'm going to show you photos of the final, like, of the images I made. And the book, it has the essay and all the images of the project. At this exhibit, we have, I sent to Aranza the portrait of the Mushe. That's very striking to me. I think it's my favorite one because it was the last photo I took. And well, this is a book. It has a poem, and also some of the people from the community. There's one guy whose name is Hammurabi.
I think we can't see it, because when you share your screen in Zoom, you have to be sharing exactly where you're opening. So if you share, are you sharing the book right now?
No, I'm sharing.
Yeah, because we're still
a PDF, Aranza.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. There we are in the PDF now. Okay, okay. Because we were not able to see it, or I don't know if it was me. Can everybody see the PDF now?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you see it? Okay. There we go. Yeah, I was just wanting to make sure that we were in the right screen. Thank you. Sorry.
This is also like old versus new, because it's a very traditional town, and the kind of weaving that it's used on clothing, it's still conserved, but some of these of the mushes, they're like extremely creative. A lot of them, they really love fashion, and they, for example, this is, I find it really interesting. It's a crop top, but it's a traditional, like, this is a traditional weaving from that region. So you would see a mushe with also with a phone, with a smartphone. So it's very interesting to see the comparison between the traditions versus all the globalization we're living, and the way they adapt to the world and create their own was very inspiring. Just to see a new way of living, a new way of being in harmony with everyone, and families being okay with their kids growing up with fluid gender. This is at the party. There is some more information in our Instagram, that's at Mushelandia, and my Instagram is at Male Valdes. There you can see some more of my photography. I don't know how am I on time, Aranza. Maybe I can show you another project that is it's also in Mexico, but this one, it's about cloister nuns. I think you might enjoy it.
So you can
I'll show it. Yeah, I'll go for it. This one is really nice. I had to move to Mexico for about a year when I was doing all my visa work. So I was in Mexico and I was a little bit confused because I've been in New York for about 4 years. And I was at my mother's house, and my mom's a very Catholic woman, and she has these nuns that they're their friends. And she told me if I wanted to go with her to see them. I was like, only if I get to take photos. And it ended up being a very nice documentary because it was a cloister that was all blue. So the photographs came out really nice. And then we made an interview to them, and we just talked about how they value silence, and how they, even though they are in the same space the whole day, they still can't have enough time during the day because they feel they are completely busy. They were very shattered by the earthquake on 2018-17. And so this convent actually doesn't exist anymore. It's like the walls are not blue anymore. These rooms aren't the rooms anymore. This is where they have lunch. This means Jesus is here. And this is them. I don't know if any of you have any questions, if you want me to talk about something specifically.
I think it's a good time for questions. You literally made it right at the time. Thank you so much for sharing. I've been always a very big fan of Male's work in general, but Mushelandia, that blows my mind. So I'm so happy that you decided to show this exhibition with us. So yeah,
I'm thankful. Thank you. Any questions?
Heidi, we can't hear you. I think you're speaking, but you're muted.
Really, it was just interesting about the nuns that, the topic of this talk is finding one's voice through understanding oneself and identity and whatnot. And it's just interesting how the nuns were valuing silence. So in a way, that was their voice. Silence was as a voice. So it's an interesting dichotomy there to capture. Great projects. And
thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to just be able, that's what the camera allows you to do, that you're able to show up as unexpected, like as a third viewer, which is really nice because you have you're lucky enough to observe from a point of view in which you can be sitting in the same space as these people.
Absolutely. Giving voice to others through the camera and capturing.
Yeah, and it's nice to show and just to put it out there. And it's information that maybe a teenager will find in the corner of a bookstore or whatever, and it can come in as a tool just to expand the horizon a little bit, and just to see there's choices and you get to make them.
Absolutely.
Any more questions?
A couple more minutes.
Elena, go for it.
Okay, unmute. It was so cool. It was your photo in the show was so amazing. I kept returning to it because, well, first of all, the way that you capture the light, it's an indoor shot, and I love the light in your photograph and all the colors. And several people we were just I didn't know if your photograph, if it was a photograph or if it was a painting. Yeah, it's so incredible. I love it so much. And there's just something so, the light just reminds me so much of painting. I was just wondering if it just in your work, I just noticed that you really use the light a lot as a medium.
It is my main focus usually, because it does have something to do with painting. I went to photo school, and at school they would make us analyze photographs and paintings and analyze the light on them, because it was like all the best painters, what they did was they managed light and space in a way that made everything look more interesting. So that's like the first thing. And the part of being indoors also made the statement that even though there is all this freedom that has been created, all of this progress that has been made, but still a lot of the photos were taken behind closed doors.
Yes.
So that's it. Also it's like a way of saying, look, okay, this is possible, but also there is another side to the story that still has to be addressed and still has to evolve somehow.
Yeah, thank you so much, Male. We have to keep going. Sorry, Myra. We have just a little bit of time because we have, time flies. I told you that you were not going to be feeling how short 2 hours are. So let's, do you have a quick question? I don't want to interrupt you in the middle, Myra. So if you want to go for it really quick.
No, I just was wondering because I feel as though you must have a relationship a little bit with some of your subjects in order to have such an intimate photograph that you're capturing.
Yeah, it's usually I develop relationships, and it has to be genuine. So somehow there's always the first interest of, it's an aesthetic thing, but then it does have to be like I have to meet the people in order to be able to photograph them in that way, because otherwise, like some people, that you need to earn their trust in order to be able to show them in such a way.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much, Male. So even, believe it or not, yes, thank you. We come to our last presenter, which is also my beautiful co-curator in this show, Heidi Russell. I'm so excited that you decided to present your work, because you're an artist as well. So
thank you. Yeah. And my dog has just decided to wake up and scratch, so hopefully you won't hear too much. She has a collar around her neck. I
also have my boyfriend decided to jump in right now, so here with us. He brought me some wine to celebrate this.
Fantastic. Well, It's a pleasure to be here to share a little bit of my work. I tend to tell really long stories, so it's going to be really hard for me to get to a bunch in 10 minutes here. But okay, so I'm going to go to my share screen. There we go. Share. Okay, you don't want to see my. So I'm a fine art photographer, and I started taking photos when I was about 5 years old. My father was kind of a Michelangelo, he was a musician and penman and artist, photographer, etc. And I got a camera right around 5 or 6, and I remember, the little brownie looking down into the brownie, down through the camera, capturing things around me as I was growing up. And I remember thinking that, I was really into color photography as I got into elementary school and whatnot. And I just wanted to capture the beauty of the world. I grew up in a small town, upstate New York, 5,000 people. And it was just, kind of homogeneous. So, I wasn't exposed to, diverse peoples or whatnot, but I just saw that there was probably a lot out in the world that I could explore and capture. And it was just, I could tell it was my voice through the camera at an early age. But I knew at an early age, I also didn't want to make money at it. I guess I should say I didn't want to do it commercially. And I don't know how I decided that at an early age. So I went to school for something else. I wound up getting a business degree, which has served me well now. But I always, took photographs wherever I was. And my jobs, I always wound up, taking pictures of events and things like that. So photography was always there. But I, as I got out into the world, long story short, cut to the, to being 38, I was, 38 years old, and I realized that, I had sort of put my passions to the wayside. I had been an exchange student when I was 18, and I knew, hey, I don't want to wait around for a guy to come in. I want to have my own career, and I'm going to explore the world. I was, as I mentioned, exchange student in Denmark, and this is the photograph that's in the Abby stuff is in the show. This was actually a store window. I capturing the different planes, sort of melded together. All my photographs are untouched, by the way, and unmanipulated. And so a long-term boyfriend had passed away, and a good friend of ours was shot and killed up in Ithaca. And again, I was 38, realized I was really became something that I didn't think I, would ever become, doing everything for everybody else and putting my passions to the wayside. So I struggled a little bit for about a year with discontent, knowing that I wanted to get back to my photography and travel the world again and maybe go back to school. So I wound up quitting my job, selling my car, cashing in half of my retirement, which wasn't much, living and working upstate. And I saw a sign I knew I wanted to go back to Europe. And I saw a sign for the Cornell in Rome program. And I got into that program and spent 2 months in Rome in 2004 and 6 months in Greece. And during the time, went to Turkey, and just spent the year exploring my own creativity again, myself. My sexuality was becoming more fluid, and I was exploring who am I? So here I am. I turned 40 in Greece with a whole bunch of 18 and 20-year-olds for an art program, and it was just very freeing and very uplifting, and finding myself creatively, but also as a person. And I have a lot of photographs. I'm very prolific, so I invite you to check out my website. I take things such as basically capturing the elements of a site, everything from detail to let me try to get to spend a little time in Berlin. So capturing the different elements of the site, anything from art detail to a commentary of a documentary style, but the core element of all of it is how everything intersects within a site, plays of light, architectural detail, history, and temporaryism, movement through space. And what is it saying to us? What's the language of what's going on around us? And so there was a I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. So during after my year in Europe, I moved to New York. My muse at the time said, why don't you move to New York, art capital of the world? And I was like, oh my God, I'm from a small town, upstate. How am I gonna, survive a city? But I actually love it here. I found out I'm a master connector and love people and being out, being social. So, but I could also be on the streets of New York, which you saw a lot of the photographs at the beginning were from New York. When I first arrived, I was just walking the streets. It was just amazing. I did my first, so I always say that I kind of went from my selfless stage to a selfish stage during that year to really attend to myself. And then as I grew here in New York, I realized that, I really love helping people and engaging with people. And so I kind of moved back to, not only am I making art and my photography part of front and center of my life, but also want to help people. And I'd met so many amazing artists, and that's really where the salon was born, wanting to connect women artists, and most of them I had met were women. So I was, immersing myself into the art world as well as the gay world here in New York to discover both worlds and how I fit into that. I'm going to jump back for a second here. I did a.
You have 2 minutes, Heidi.
Oh my God, 2 minutes. I do see, I told you, but I can't get past this thing. How can I get this? So I had a solo show. I got really lucky through just my networking, and I was, I'm all self-taught. So this gallerist said, I want to do a show. And I said, well, I don't know what to pick. And she said, she looked through my work and she said, I want to do your self-portrait. So I did a lot of self-portraits through that transition year, figuring out who I was. And so it was just a great experience to have my first solo show in New York be about me, which I never would have picked. And so anyways, it's a little bit about my work. And this one on the left is I use for portrait headshot a lot. And then that led me to some curating. I did some curating. They saw what I was doing at the salon. And so that kind of merged my two worlds, the LGBT world and the art world, and was asked to curate a couple shows at Fresh Fruit Festival. And the salon took off. And so for me, it's all about, finding the voices of a place and a space and self and a site and environment, but also how do we connect with each other as artists and as people and help each other and raise each other up. and you know, see our differences and respecting that. And that's my goal with the salon, and kind of bringing all my worlds together. So much more to say. I would love to talk with anybody at any point, but here's a little bit of a project I did when I was in Berlin for artist residency. And I put away my camera for a week, and all those words there are phrases of a picture. Rather than taking a picture with a camera, I used words. And then I put those up on a mirror for people to engage with, and myself. So that was a really interesting project. And then lastly, I want to do a project bringing my images into a site where they're on translucent material, where people can engage with each other on either side. So it becomes a moving image, different cultures within another culture, et cetera. So these are some of the projects that I'm looking forward to in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Heidi. Wow, I feel you left me wanting to see more and look deeper, because you gave like such interesting introductions to so many wonderful things that you have done that like I didn't
I feel
know
like I'm
this.
like just spewed it all out. I'm sorry, it's probably very confusing, but
No, it's
no,
beautiful.
I all that series of photographs with windows and with light reflecting. You have a whole series of those ones that I found fascinating. All your pictures of your youth are also fascinating. All those pictures with the ball and the writing on the mirror. Like, I feel that you showed us like a whole catalog of 1,000 rabbit holes that we can jump in, discover you further. And yeah, what an honor to know you as a friend and as a co-curator in this show. And then we're all huge universes, definitely, because I thought that I knew you, and now looking at your work has been a whole other.
Right.
So yeah,
well, we hear each other's backstories. It helps us to connect and find synergies and raise each other up. So I thank everybody for being a part of that.
Thank you so much, Heidi, and yeah, thanks for bringing us all together. And like,
Here's everybody.
it was great to see more of your work and what you have done and what you're doing. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, and through Eva, I met Heidi.
That's
actually.
true. A long time ago. Wow, I forgot. That's how it goes.
The connections have been really magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, everybody. Wonderful works. Thank you for sharing your stories, your voices, the voices that you capture, and it's just what's making the world a better place and raising up humanity. So, you know, thank you for sharing your work and stories tonight.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
For having us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing. I really, wow.
Yeah, everybody was wow.
Everyone was wow.
Today was
Right? Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah.
Could you imagine what how the world would be such a better place if everybody had an opportunity to not only share their own stories, their voices, but other people could hear what people go through. And I mean, we just have that's why the importance of being an artist, I think, and helping to heal humanity.
Yeah, just by listening to each other and giving each other an opportunity to be part of creating these talks. It was not only to give an online part to the show, it was also to give everyone an opportunity to go deeper and show, and, you know, giving other people platforms and opportunities to raise their voice and to share. It's something that the world needs more, because yes, there's platforms that we can like own by ourselves, or Instagram and our websites and everything, but giving someone else like the opportunity, it's just different, you know. When you do it by yourself, when you do it for yourself, it's different as when you, I'm not praising ourselves, I'm not doing that, but what I want to say is that if we all gave each other platforms to do it, it works different. it's just different if you say like, oh, everybody, I'm giving a talk about my work tonight. Can you connect to like as if like someone invites you to like share? It's just different, you know? So I invite everyone to create these spaces for all of us, to give other people the opportunity to speak, because these talks have personally have left me so much to think about and explore further. Yeah, it's been really a treat. Thank you everybody for jumping in, our audience, our artists, Heidi for creating this.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
I have a question. Is the gallery open tomorrow at all?
Yes, 11. It's a Friday, 11 to 3. Unfortunately, just during the day, but we have the weekend hours.
Well, no, because I'm going to be in the city tomorrow. That's why I asked. And
will you be here in the afternoon?
Yeah, I can swing. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I am. Yeah, definitely.
If
Because
not,
I'd like to see it in person.
yeah. Oh, and also a big announcement. We have an official closing date. It's going to be Friday, the 2nd of April from 6 to 9 p.m. We're going to have the opportunity to have the garden of the church open. So that means that we can have more people in the space. We can have only 27 people in the gallery at once, but having the opportunity of having the garden opens means that if we have more people inside the space, we just divide into the garden and to leave like the inside space with certain people, but everyone can be hanging out in the garden. So yeah, the 2nd of April, that's also a great opportunity to come visit the show if you haven't done so. We're going to be sending the Eventbrite super soon. As I always say, we're doing everything at real time. So because we also have like other jobs and things to juggle at the same time. So you will be receiving hopefully tomorrow or Saturday the Eventbrite link to sign up for the closing. If you're an artist of the show, it's not really necessary for you to register. Just let us know that you're coming. Let's leave the open slots in the Eventbrite for guests so they can sign up in. But we're gonna send an email to everyone so they know, so you all know gallery hours and how it's gonna work and all that. We have a very cool flyer that we made for the closing as well. So excited to share all of that with all of you. So it's 9:08. We always go a little bit past time, and it just feels like a blink. So thank you everyone. It was a very deep one today. I mean,
Myra, really good.
Yeah, Priscilla was here looking at all the talks, and I think you can see they're all special in some way, and today was super deep for sure.
Thank you so much.
Amazing art.
See you at the gallery or online at the closing.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. It was great.
Night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Glad that you were here, Maria, before you went back.
Oh, Maria, yeah, she's in Mexico. Well, no, she's in Maria's in Mexico. She's coming back next week.
I'm coming back on Thursday.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah, next Thursday I'll try to be there next Friday.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for the space. This was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you, Andrea. It was great seeing you.
Have a good night.
Wow, and I want to ask you a question, Andrea, before we leave. Oh, she left. No.
Oh,
I wanted to ask her why did she relate herself so much to the peppers? I will ask her that after.
To the what?
To the peppers. The peppers. She kept on saying that those peppers reflect exactly what she is.
Well, that was during her cancer time. She had cancer.
Okay, because wow, her talk was fascinating, don't you think?
Yeah. How come it seemed like everybody else's 10 minutes, like it was a nice long, got a lot in. I'm like,
what? You're at 10 minutes? It's because you don't feel it when you're talking.
I know. I was like, shit.
I don't feel it. It was great. You went just a little bit too fast, but it was good. I mean, it was great for the way that you planned it and all that, because I know that you're full of stuff, but another successful night.
Yes. Bravo. Woohoo. Congrats.
Don't share the link. Don't share the Zoom link anywhere.
Oh God. I it was sort of like, oh, let me do it. And then as soon as,
no, I mean, I understand. You get it so
saying that. That's why we don't do it. And then
no, I know your intention behind it. Your intention behind it was to get more people into the talk, and I know, but I mean, it was kind of.
Now I remember.
It was kind of
It's sunk in now. It's sunk in now.
crazy. So I need to go because
Yeah.
your boyfriend is preparing dinner. But wow, another
So
success.
great job. You're a great host as well. So